Welcome to Benita's maternity program antenatal class. Today, Sister Ingrid will be speaking to us about your first day with your newborn baby. Welcome, Sister Ingrid.
Thank you very much. I'm really happy to be with you here again today. And, this first day is a very real thing for people. I think often one focuses so much on the getting the baby, and then one never thinks about what actually happens on the first day. Once you have your baby, what can you actually expect? When you have your first baby. And reality is that for most people in South Africa, you might very likely be in hospital at this point. Here and there, you have some who have home births. But nevertheless, wherever you're having your baby, the same thing happens, the first day, with having your baby. So what can you expect? Now, first, let me just introduce you. This is my very hungry baby. You can see the mouth is already open. And this is something that you might also suddenly realize, that your baby is extremely hungry, and it can be very different. Some people find that on the first day that babies are very hungry. They want to feed all the time. They want to be on the boob the whole time. And that's actually fantastic if that is the way, because this is where your baby actually learns the skill of feeding. And then also you as a new mommy, you learn the skill of how to hold, how to latch, all these things. This is something that has to happen. And also when you're feeding so frequently, you're actually building the foundation blocks for successful breastfeeding. You want to stimulate the breast very frequently, because this actually helps also to increase volume of milk. So now it's just really important to realize that babies all differ. It is important to realize that some babies might be very tired the first day after their birth, and that sometimes is the challenge, that some moms find that, you really want to breastfeed your baby, but your baby is very sleepy. And there can be various reasons as to why your baby might be sleepy. Now, first of all, depending on what kind of birth you had, if it was a long birth, the labor itself, did you have medication given to you? Did you have pain medication and so forth? Those things do go through to baby. So baby is actually a little bit also, that baby also got some of that medication, and that does have an influence on the baby. So if that is the case, remember that it will work out. Okay. But still, what do you do at this point? Because also what sometimes happens is that, especially in a hospital situation, your baby's blood sugar is going to be tested on a frequent basis. So every now and then they come, and then they take the little heel and they do a little heel prick, and then they test the blood sugar of the baby. And if your baby is very sleepy and is not feeding really well, the stress starts to build up for you, because then it feels like, you have to do something. They want to start giving baby perhaps something else, or just to, to say, well, this baby's blood sugar is low, we need to do something, or you need to feed your baby. So how do you go about that? Okay. So let me tell you. So if you think about your newborn, okay, first of all, I would actually say, take off the clothes. Okay, so take off the baby's clothes, take off your shirt, okay, take off your bra. Whether you're at home or in the hospital, it's always a good idea to do skin to skin as long as possible. Okay, so if you're really quite adventurous, you can use without the nappy, or you can just fold the nappy small, that is just covering the bum, because we all know what happens if the baby does not have a nappy on. But okay, so then you have the rest of the clothes is off, your top is off, your bra is off, and you basically place baby skin to skin. Now when you're lying in bed, definitely have now a duvet or something over you, and you can cuddle your baby, you can hug your baby. You've been waiting so long to have this baby, so it's really good to do the skin to skin. We know there are some really good advantages and of doing the skin to skin, because it actually does help the temperature control. If we think it's a much cooler temperature to what the baby's used to, it's about 38 degrees in there. And if you think about what is your temperature, where you are currently sitting and listening to me, it is definitely not 38. So it is a lot cooler for babies once they're born, and sometimes really cold. And we know that if a baby's skin to skin on you, it actually, your core temperature goes up with 2 degrees. And this is, to this day, they can't really explain how this works, but it's just something that happens in your body. So your temperature goes up to lift the baby's temperature. If the baby gets too warm, then your temperature goes down again to lower the baby's, the body temperature of the baby. And that goes up and down until the baby is stable. Isn't it amazing to think what your body is capable of doing for your baby? So if you do the skin to skin, it's not just the temperature, but also we know that even blood glucose and things stabilize. You've got the hormones working. It's not just your hormones, it's the baby's hormones that are working really well. And then also, baby is in an environment here where he smells. And we have to remember that the sense of smell is highly developed. So if your baby is lying on your chest like this, your baby is actually smelling the milk or the colostrum, that first milk that you have. So it's really good to have that baby in that space, because then the baby smells this, and at some point it's going to think, yo, hang on, this smells delicious. Okay, so it's really good to have your baby here. So the skin to skin, I would definitely say, in hospital on the first day, don't even worry about clothes. Just have a nappy on, have your baby skin to skin. And this is also for normal full-term babies who are very alert and moving and feeding well. But it's definitely also specifically for the babies who struggle, who might be very sleepy, where you are stressing about your baby. So definitely do the skin to skin here. Okay, so that definitely helps a lot. Then, so now what do you do? Because obviously we want the milk to move. You want to actually start breastfeeding your baby, but now your baby's very sleepy. So what you can do, and I brought my boob along and I just want to show you. So there are some tricks. So you need your breast, you need a syringe, okay? So what you do is you start to express a little bit of milk. Remember that the first milk that you have, and you might be listening to me at this point still pregnant, and you think, well, how do I know if I've got milk or not? But definitely in pregnancy, especially at the end of the pregnancy, you do have milk. It's just some people see it and some people don't. So what you do then is you express a little bit of milk once if you think that your baby is very sleepy, and you basically, if you see a drop appear, you just pull this drop up in the syringe, and then this is an easy way of catching it, that there's no spillage. And then if you have a couple of drops of the breast milk, you basically give that to your baby then in the baby's mouth. Okay, so I must tell you, it's very often that once you do give the baby breast milk in the mouth, that suddenly these babies often wake up and they think, "Phew, that is very nice, I want some more." And then if you see your baby's awake, then you can latch your baby and feed your baby. But okay, hang on. So you might wonder, if I talk about hand expressing, how do I get the milk then out of my breast? And I just quickly want to show you as well. So if you have your breast, you basically take your 2 fingers, your middle finger and your thumb, on either side of the nipple and the areola. And so I'm just going to hold it here that you can see quite nicely. And then you hold it like this. If I turn it like this, perhaps it's better. You get your fingers behind. So you're actually sliding your fingers behind all these ducts, okay? And then once you're there, you bring your fingers together, and then you're starting to slide to the front. So it's a slow movement to the front, okay? And when you here, you're going to start noticing there's a drop or two appearing, okay? And if you keep on doing this, it's later on not just a drop or two, it might even be a little squirt, okay? So you can do this a couple of times. Then you change position. So you try to position your fingers all around the areola to basically express some milk. Again, what you do, you take the syringe, you just draw that up in the syringe, and we know that colostrum is very concentrated milk. So basically, it's like if you think about Oros or any kind of juice that is very, a concentrate juice, we don't drink that concentrate. We add some water if you want to drink the juice. However, babies actually drink the concentrate at the beginning, okay? So the water content there is not there, okay? That's why every drop is like gold. Okay, it's golden liquid that your baby's getting. So if you give your baby, for example, 5 mils of this, but even if it's less than that, that's fine. But we know 5 mils of a colostrum equals the same amount of energy and nutritional value like 30 mils of the later milk. Isn't that amazing? Okay, so it's really good to remember this. And syringes you can easily get. You can ask in the hospital. If you go to a pharmacy, you might just get a syringe or two and just have it in your bag, just for the in case, okay, that you can actually draw this up and give it to your baby in your baby's mouth. This way, you know that the baby is, first of all, getting milk. Your baby's getting the nutrition. You know that the blood sugar is not going to be a problem. And then once you find your baby is starting to wake up, perhaps it was a very long labor, or perhaps you had lots of medication, and you start noticing, perhaps the following day, doesn't really matter, but if you start noticing your baby starting to wake up a little bit more and is starting to show interest to feed, and then is then the good time to really start to really get baby to feed well. Obviously, in between, you're also going to try that, but this is a really good trick to remember how to actually give baby, the milk. If your baby wants to feed continuously always, once your baby is born, perhaps you have the reverse of this situation where it feels like, is this a problem or is it not a problem because you cannot put your baby down? Remember that your baby in pregnancy is getting food continuously. Okay, as your heart is pumping, as the placenta is working and the cord is working and all the blood is being given to baby on a continuous basis, this is how your baby's getting nutrition. And then once a baby is born, that feeling of being hungry is very new for your baby. Your baby has never had that. So that's why, if your baby's alert and awake, he's probably going to want to feed often, which is really, like I said before, a good thing. Okay, so I hope that makes sense. So remember, if your baby wants to feed a lot, just keep feeding, just check the latch and so on, that have a good open latch. And if you find your baby is very sleepy and you worry about the feeds and you worry about the blood sugar, remember the trick with the syringe. Okay, because if you keep on expressing and you draw this up and you give it to your baby, your baby is actually getting the milk. You are, first of all, also expressing, so you are stimulating the breast. And I would actually say every 2 hours you do this, with the stimulation, just to start building a good foundation for the breastfeeding and for the milk volume.